Let's talk something I love. Let's talk ADUs. This month, Iowa legislators passed a statewide ADU mandate. Look, many municipalities hadn't adopted code yet, so it wasn't allowing them to happen. So why was this so important? Well, this really helps housing affordability. Well, it's a small step, I should say, because it's a long ways to go to solve the housing affordability issue. But what else does this do? It also adds flexibility for multi-generational living, rental income, aging in place, and guest homes are just great places for sustainability. There's smaller space and a smaller carbon footprint. So, why are ADUs suddenly such a hot topic? Look, a couple things have happened, but a big one is there's been a lot of zoning changes, and creative ones at that. But also there's a lot of prefab ADU startups that are happening. So what is the future of ADUs? What will it look like in, say, I don't know, 5 years? Are ADUs gonna be as normal as home offices have suddenly become since post-pandemic? Will there be luxury ADUs, like think detached studios, chef's kitchens, or the he-she sheds that, well, never came? Or will they be high-end rentals, like ADUs that'll have income property added to your portfolio at your personal house? Let's dive into that in a minute. Let's think about how ADUs provide not just a place to live, but revenue for homeowners. The reality check is this: the cost is not cheap. The budget of them costs somewhere around $100,000 to $200,000 just to build, just to add this on your house. Because look, you gotta have separate plumbing, you gotta have a kitchen, you gotta have all these appliances. And the financing, well, there's no easy loan options, not yet at least, but that could be changing. Neighborhoods could also be pushing back because, hey, we all love them NIMBYs, those not in my backyard warriors, because they will grumble about everything, namely about parking, privacy, and property values. But look, ADUs are small and strategic. They're expensive, but profitable. Controversial, but inevitable. And building one, you're basically future-proofing your property while flipping the housing market a polite but decisive bird. Hey, let's go take a look at an ADU, because I think they're fun. You gotta see how they look. Let's go.
So we're coming off the street onto an alley here. And we have a couple homes here that don't have a guest house, and then we have two that do. So the alley is the access. So they're detached. There's not any walls shared with the actual house. We're gonna look at the blue one right here. These are two doctors that moved here a couple years ago to do their fellowship. And in doing their fellowship, they you got a lot of money from medical school. So in buying the home, it was great for them to get some income while they're also paying for their mortgage. And the person who ended up renting it was someone that was doing their law degree, going to grad school here. So great way for professionals to find housing, and then also for other people to buy down on the cost to live and own that. So this is just under 600 square feet. And here's what we have. We have like a living room area, a little bit of a dining, there is a kitchen, there's a bedroom and a bath back here. And look, we even got laundry and unit. So you have your own furnace, you have your own water heater, you have your own laundry, kitchen, bathroom. It's all included right here, just a little bit under 600 square feet. And the best part, no walls here are shared. The only thing shared is the floor with the garage of the main house. Then we have a parking pad on the side, so they have their own place to park when they come home. So the housing adds so much extra value for a rental, but it's still on one parcel. So we've essentially made what would have been exclusionary single family into a duplex type. It's an ADU. That's why we call it an accessory dwelling unit. These are great spaces. Here's what this looks like numbers wise. This home was about $550,000, sold in a second. So many people wanted properties like this. When you rent it, with the rental income that comes in, it is the same as owning a home that's $325,000. Look at that math. Look at how great that is. Because now the people that live here are able to buy down on their monthly mortgage and liability and still live in a great home in a great neighborhood that works to help with the housing crisis.
So let's talk a little bit about how the price breaks down on these ADUs. Here's an ADU ROI calculator. Take a look at this. Right here on this formula you got on the screen, you got your build cost, C, which is the total cost to build plus the permit plus the ADU. And then we got the monthly rental income, the R. That's the expected monthly rental rate that you will charge. Then we have the additional property value, the V. This is how much the ADU adds to your property value. Not always a one-to-one with cost, but sometimes it can be better. So let's talk equations. I got 3 of them. Let's first talk about cap rate. Okay, so here's how cap rate works. The cap rate is the annual rent divided by the build cost times 100. What does this mean? It means, are you cash flowing smartly? The next one is your payback period. How is this calculated? This is your build cost divided by your annual rent. This means how many years till you break even. And the last one we wanna look at is the value add ROI. To do this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the value added minus the build cost, then we're gonna divide that by the build cost and take it times 100. So did you just make equity magic? That's what this number is gonna tell you. Let's run an example. So here, play along. Suppose that you build an ADU for, I don't know, $175,000, and you rent it for $1,750 a month. The appraiser says that it added $200,000 to your home. Let's go ahead and use those calculators. Your cap rate would now be roughly 12%. Awesome sauce. Most rentals trade for around 5 to 7%. Let's do the payback period. This would then calculate 8.33. That's under 10 years. Very solid. We're doing good so far. Let's look at the value added ROI. We plug it in, look at it, it calculates. A little over 14%. Positive equity gain. This is all good things. So look, this is big news in Iowa because just this month, Iowa took a bold step forward in tackling housing access and affordability. With the passage of the House File 947, the Iowa legislators approved a statewide mandate requiring cities and counties to allow ADUs, accessory dwelling units, on residential lots. This was commonly known as backyard homes or in-law suites or the classic granny flat. And look, ADUs are small. They're secondary dwellings that offer flexible, lower cost housing options without altering the character of existing neighborhoods, especially if they're on the back of the home. This bill now awaits the governor's signature, and so I hope you sign it soon. But this legislation comes at a time when the housing supply is strained across the state, particularly for first-time homebuyers, aging residents, and multi-generational families. So with many municipalities that had previously restricted, prohibited, or not adopted the zoning needed for this is an important step towards the growing interest and demand of ADUs. And by creating a consistent statewide policy, well, Iowa could become a leader in this area, expanding smart housing solutions. This could prioritize density, livability, and innovation without sacrificing community character. As a real estate professional and someone who personally owns an ADU, I've had mine rented now for almost 15 years. The person that's in there right now has been there for the last 5 years. It's a retired individual. He's on a fixed income. He can't find another house, a one-bedroom place where he can live that has the same affordability options as this ADU affords. And so you'd think, why would somebody like me, a luxury homeowner, want to rent out a part of my home? Well, actually I built it as a guest house for guests to come stay at, but I ended up renting it in the short term and I ended up enjoying getting the monthly income and revenue that comes from having it, that I just decided that we'll just keep doing this. And it's been nice. This renter that I currently have has become a friend, part of our family. He's been there for a long time. Great addition. And I think ADUs are a great way to get additional revenue in your household, especially if you just want to reduce your monthly liability and help pay those property taxes, because Uncle Sam needs to get paid. So I believe that ADUs are an important step towards creating more affordable, inclusive, and multi-generational housing options. They're not a big step, they're a small step towards helping, but they're also gonna help us rethink outdated land use models that prioritize only exclusive single-family zoning. ADUs are not a silver bullet, let me be clear on that. But they are a practical, scalable part of the solution to Iowa's housing challenges, an essential tool to designing a more resilient future in hopefully not just Iowa, but many more places. So what do you think? Do you like ADUs? Would you like to see me explore a little bit more on this? Make sure to comment down below. Love to hear your feedback. I'm a huge proponent of ADUs, and I'm so excited that Iowa took this big step forward.